befall Paul Skenes. He just makes baseball more fun.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. And we're now the #1 sports podcasting network. This is the podcast we talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they call it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast Instagram. The best way to get hold of us is right here on the YouTube page, and go down to the comment section down below. On today's episode, which is being dropped on the 13th day of May, 2026, we're going to take a look at Paul Skenes and Mr. Ober and the Rays and some of the hot pitchers that pitched on Tuesday evening. I'm also going to answer one viewer question that popped up that brought up some of my thoughts of what's wrong with baseball, and a trip to a Little League field today made me think of a point I've made before, and it's worth bringing up again. First, let's praise Paul Skenes, shall we? Remember Paul Skenes had that horrible, horrible start to the season? He had that game against the Mets where he just let up every run, and it looked like, oh my God, we're living in a world where Paul Skenes might be terrible. He might be hurt. Oh my goodness, what is happening? And for the 23-year-old ace who has won himself a Cy Young Award, and every time he comes to the mound, the Fullerton native makes us all say, oh dear Lord, please, please, please don't get him get hurt, let him get hurt. Even with that rancid game he pitched against the New York Metropolitans, he is 6-2. Okay, not crazy about win-loss records. He has pitched 50, he struck out 56 batters in 50 innings. He has a whip below .65, and his ERA is 1.98. That's not his ERA since that crummy game. That's with said crummy game. His last 7 starts, his ERA is 1.02. And let's take a quick peek at his last few games, shall we? All right, if you take his last 3 games, he had not the best outing against the Cardinals. He lost the game, letting up 3 earned runs in 5 innings. Not great. He struck out 9, and he didn't walk anybody. So he had a good strikeout to walk ratio. But, oh, man, hope not another bad start. Well, then against the Diamondbacks, he took a no-hitter into, I believe it was the 5th inning. He finished with 8 innings, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks. Takes the mound today. He took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. 10 strikeouts, 2 hits, 8 innings, no runs, no walks. Folks, he's pitching like an ace. He is pitching like an ace because he kind of sort of is an ace. And with that, the Pirates have a winning record. And with that, the team is starting to play well. And my goodness, baseball needs aces. They need aces. This is my favorite players in the world. My favorite player of all time is Pedro Martinez. And before him, it was Roger Clemens. I love ace pitchers, pitchers who give you the ball and are difference makers. That's one of the reasons why I hate the whole, get through the order twice and then, 5 1/3 innings and we take you out. It's not because in my day they were tougher. It's more fun when an ace pitcher is pitching. It is the flavor of a game where you can take a look and say, who's pitching tonight? And I'm not even going back to, it's Juan Marichal versus Bob Gibson. It's like, Randy Johnson's pitching against John Smoltz. Greg Maddux is pitching against Pedro Martinez. Johan Santana is pitching against Roger Clemens. Barry Zito is pitching against Kurt Schilling. Whatever combination you have, it means there's a personality to that game. And there's a real chance that pitcher is going to go 6, 7, 8 innings, sometimes 9. And it could make a bad team suddenly formidable. Think of all those crummy Mariner teams that Felix Hernandez pitched for. You hand him the ball, suddenly the Mariners are favored. In 2004, the Diamondbacks were completely gutted, save for Randy Johnson, and he had one of his best seasons. Ace pitchers are one of the best quality of baseball. those matchups. You want to see if you can win this because don't you know, Frank Viola is going to be pitching tomorrow. Dwight Gooden's going to be pitching tomorrow. Or Hershiser, Dave Stewart, whichever ace you want to talk about is on the mound soon. And baseball has been doing its best to eliminate the ace pitcher because, well, we see that 2 times through the order, and also you're trying to preserve the arm and everything like that. We've seen no evidence that this is preserving anyone's arm. And we've seen no evidence that this handling of ace pitchers is the better way to go. And also, maybe, I don't know, stop focusing on just getting people who could be fireball pitchers and get smart pitchers. Would Greg Maddux even be looked at these days? One of the 5 best pitchers I ever saw in my life. Paul Skenes is an ace, and he's that rare ace, someone who give him the ball, and he is going to be glorious. He struck out 6 batters in a row at one point, and he just had a completely dominant game. This is per the Elias Sports Bureau. He is the first player in the expansion era, and this on MLB.com. He is the first Pirates pitcher in the expansion era to strike out the side in order 3 times in a game. Only one major league pitcher has ever done it more than that, and that's Kerry Wood when he struck out 20 batters in one game in 1998. And he is, again, according to Elias, Skenes became one of 4 pitchers in the modern era, since the beginning of the 20th century, to pitch 8 scoreless innings while allowing 2 or fewer hits and 0 walks in consecutive starts. Matt Latos was the last one to do it with the Padres in 2010. Billy Pierce, really underrated pitcher, did it for the White Sox in 1958. And a guy named Cy Young did it in 1905. Never won a Cy Young. You think he'd do that. But Paul Skenes won, shut down the Rockies, and with that, Pittsburgh still has a winning record. And there was another great there was a couple of really good starting pitching performances. Shane McClanahan, nice Irish name. He struck out 7 batters in his 5 shutout innings since he's coming back from a injury. And the Rays looked like they were cruising. And they had, I believe it was a 6-0 lead or a 5-0 lead. And the Blue Jays came storming back, tying the game on a error. But the Rays found a way to win. And they wound up winning it in 10. It was sloppy. It was ugly. But in the end, this is what happens. Great ball teams win games they shouldn't win. And they kept pace with the Yankees, who figured out how to hit against Baltimore after yesterday's crushing loss. But then there was one other big pitching performance today. Bailey Ober of the Twins. The Twins are probably going to trade away everything that isn't nailed down. But he wound up throwing a, say it with me, complete game shutout against the Marlins. Now, here's the thing that I find interesting. He got complete game shutout in fewer than 90 pitches, 89 pitches. And that's the lowest we've seen in a complete game victory since Greg Maddux in 2017. Again, back to Maddux. Maddux wasn't a strikeout artist. He struck out batters, to be sure, but he was mainly about getting batters out thinking them, getting them to pop up, getting them to ground out, and dominating the game like crazy. Ober pitched like Greg Maddux tonight. And baseball needs these stars. Who's pitching tonight? When you had a Madison Bumgarner dominating the postseason, it made it super special. When you made it, all those years of Clayton Kershaw didn't come up big in the postseason, it made it so aggravating. But Paul Skenes, he's a throwback. Please stay healthy, Paul Skenes, because baseball kind of sort of needs you. We need a new generation of aces and stop worrying so much about, do you know what? The lowest risk to do is to take this pitcher out in the 6th. First of all, who cares about low risk? I want to see a pitcher out there battle his way through it. That's part of the fun of sports. But also that mentality means, oh, and by the way, all the relievers are going to be gassed because they're all pitching 3 innings. In 3 innings, you're going to the bullpens for 3 innings a game. Gee whiz, I wonder why bullpens are gassed. And I wonder why pitching staffs don't have the personalities they used to. And you know what? That matters. Personality and fun matters, especially if you want to get a new batch and a new generation of fans coming to the games. But someone wrote me a comment on YouTube, which is an alarming comment when you consider trying to get new people coming to the ballpark. Have you ever opened up your bank account and said, hey, where did all my money go? You're not alone. That's life in 2026. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, bills, that could get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. Now, it keeps track of your subscriptions in one spot, can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically recognizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going, and you can set budgets, get alerts, stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized. It gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower bills. You can grow your savings. So let Rocket Money help you get to your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Thanks so much, those of you who listen every day. It's a good day to become a member of the Everydayer Club. You get ad-free episodes of the show, episodes to our Discord, and you can do it if you go to lockedonmlb.supercast.com. Let's take a look at the trivia question that I posted the other day. I said, who was the Rays' first pick in the 1997 expansion draft? Ronald Shankin said Paul Wilder. Now, I think you meant Paul Wilson, not Gene Wilder's cousin from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. That answer is incorrect. Chris Smith, 003QX, said Greg Vaughn. Tremendous guess. Incorrect, but a tremendous guess. The answer is Justin Miner, 5373. The answer is Tony Saunders, who was a left-handed starting pitcher for the Marlins when they won the World Series in 1997. And the Rays drafted him, and sadly his career ended on a horrific broken arm injury. But that is correct. He was the first player picked in the expansion draft. Thank you very much. I want to. Michael Trotman sent me this the other day. I'm going to go read it for you right here. Going to see the Dodgers versus Giants game, and man, if prices jumped. My $35 seat from last year is now $90. So instead of going once a month, we'll be going once a year. Pricing people out of games like Trotman, who's a huge baseball fan, that's a problem if you're trying to grow this game. It's a problem in the movie industry. Why aren't people going to the theaters? Well, the movies are doing stink, but the movies there's always been crappy movies. There's always been good movies. But it's now so expensive. It used to be, the movies should be a cheap night out. $4 or $5 a ticket, get a cheap popcorn and a glass of, a cup of Coke and maybe a Junior Mint, watch a movie, maybe watch two. Now tickets are $20 each, and popcorn, it spirals up. Might as well stay at home, rent a film, and cook something in your own home. Same thing going on with baseball. If you're trying to expand the game, one of the key ways is to build memories. Build memories with young fans to enjoy going to the ball game, have the fun moments going to the ball game, have that bonding with your family, with your friends. It's something you put your phone away, watch what's going on there. Or if there's something fun you're doing with the phone that interacts with the game. I'm not going to tell you how to enjoy baseball, but it should be something that you do multiple times in the summer, many times with a sense of spontaneity, and a knowledge that the tickets, especially for sporting events of baseball, should be relatively affordable. They play 81 home games in any major league ballpark, so you're going to get a lot of times to the game. But look at what Michael Trotman just said. A $35 seat is now $90. When I see things like empty seats at Dodger Stadium or Yankee Stadium, in the ones that are right behind home plate, which are like $1,500 a night or something like that, it's ridiculous. You need to not have Major League Baseball be something outside of people's budgets, especially this day and age where inflation is skyrocketing. Wages are stagnant, jobs are being replaced by technology, and having something, a community event like going to a ball game, something where you can be amongst 10 to 20 to 30,000 people of like interest and enjoy something together and share that with your family, your friends, your cousins, whomever. To price people out of that because you're trying to squeeze every last dollar is incredibly short-sighted. You're taking away hey, we're going to go to the ballpark. The tickets, if you're going to sit behind home plate, obviously those tickets are going to be more, but, an upper deck seat or lower bowl seat or whatever, that's going to be, $20-30 a ticket, like Trotman was saying. And then everyone gets a hot dog, everyone gets a Coke, everyone gets like a pretzel. And if you're with some kids, you get them, make sure they get a souvenir. They're there for 3 some odd hours. So, they're going to want to have a souvenir or a pretzel or something like that. Think about that used to be something that was affordable and a good way for a bunch of people, for a big family, to go see a game together, build up those memories. And with those memories, you have the foundation. Everyone listening to me right now has that foundation of a game you went to as a kid. I talked to my mom about growing up. She would grow up going to Yankee Stadium. And of course, she talked about Whitey Ford and Mickey Mantle and Elston Howard and Yogi Berra and all their superstars. But she also remembered the Johnny Blanchards of the world and the Hector Lopez's of the world, because she had specific memories of them. My early memories going to Fenway Park with Butch Hobson and Jerry Remy and Rick Burleson. Obviously, I remember Yaz and Fisk, but I also remember calling all Carbo with Bernie Carbo, or Bob Stanley and remember Steve Renko starting a game, and some of those names that become synonymous with childhood memories. And part of that is seeing the game. And if you price people out of the game, you're going to miss an entire generation. If you want to build this game to the next generation, you have to make sure they can experience that. And it's also a communal sensation. We're all on our ticky-tack phones. Chances are you're listening to me right now on a phone. And we all get fragmented. I like to watch this. My sons like to watch that. This member of my family, this, my other member of my family watches that, and it's all something different. Sometimes we're all watching something different instead of that all huddled around watching the same thing. This is an opportunity to have that collective experience. I looked at some of the prices at, Dodger Stadium is obviously going to be expensive. I looked at some of the prices at Anaheim. And Anaheim is a family friend. It's right across the street from Disneyland, or across the highway from Disneyland. And there's a lot of families and communities in Orange County surrounding Anaheim. And baseball is huge in Orange County, huge. And the Angels in the past have drawn well. But let's just say this. Let's say you have a family of 5. Mom and dad and 3 kids. Let's say you have 2 kids and one of your kids invites a friend. Okay, so let's say you have 5 people going. That's not an outrageous group. That's not an outrageous group of people coming. I'm not saying 20 some odd people are going. No, a family of 5 going to go see an Angels game. Okay, let's say the tickets are going to be about $45. $45. We're starting off, this is $225. It costs $27 to park. So if you shove everyone in the same car, and assuming you're not going to Uber there, you're going to park the car there. All right, we're already over $250 for this night out. Let's say everyone gets a hot dog. Just a regular dog, nothing special, nothing intense. I'm not asking for prime rib. You're at the ball game, you want a dog. Dogs are about $9. So everyone gets a dog, there's $45. Let's say mom and dad each have a beer. Beers are $17. Let's say you get something like you split a garlic fries, some sort of concession like that. That's going to be another $10. and the kids get their drinks. All the kids get a Coke. All right, Cokes are $6. And through the course of the game, oh, we want ice cream. Okay, you don't give in all the time. But at one point, all right, you get an ice cream or a pretzel or a bag of the Cracker Jacks or something like that. Well, those are $7 each. That's an additional $21. And you give each of the kids get a souvenir. They get a hat, they get a pennant, they may get a T-shirt. Okay, that's the low end of that's going to be an additional $45. A family of 5 going to one ball game is going to have to drop $425 for one night out. You better hope the Angels are good. $425 in this day and age where wages aren't great, inflation's going through the roof. You can't fill up your car here in California because it's $6 a gallon here. Sometimes I've seen up to $7, but most of the places around here are $5.50 to $6 a gallon. Let's do something to lower some of those prices. And I'll tell you the way to do it. And the Cardinals have done this in some games. I think every team should do this. Okay? And bear with me, folks. You come in and there's a family, or we'll just call it the food section. And you pay like a $20 fee for someone to come in, and they just can, for the $20, you go in and you can get all the food you want. And if you're the dad going in there or the mom going in there or the aunt and uncle, whoever it is, you sit there, give me your orders. You go in, you grab your food, you come out. Here's your $20. Okay? I've now reduced this price by the price of going there by nearly $100, by actually more than $100, by about $150 by doing that. And that action of reducing the cost of just food, because some of these places are really strict about you bringing food in there. And you want to get a hot dog when you're there. You want to have that experience. Make the food inexpensive, because that will get more people coming to the ball game. You want to have those groups of 5 going to multiple games instead of one game a year. I'm obviously rolling in dough. I'm the host of the Locked On MLB podcast. But I get really hesitant when I look at, I really want to go to the ball game tonight, but I'm just going to go by myself. If you bring kids, you bring a friend, you got a group of you, are you ready to drop $500 like that? This is the short-sighted thinking of Major League Baseball. You are going to get fans for life if you give them the experience. But if you price them out of it, they're not going to have said experience. But there's another thing Major League Baseball can do, and I've mentioned this before, and it's worth mentioning again, that is about the experience of being a fan as a kid. And the fact that Major League Baseball doesn't automatically do this is one of the most mind-boggling and stupid things I've ever heard in my life. And I've seen Jaws 3D. All right, let me just tell you something right here and right now. The NBA playoffs, they are here. Every possession matters. And if you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right, turn $5 to $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. I like using FanDuel during the playoffs because, you know what? Everything that I need is all in just one place. And in these playoffs, you need that because there's so many things happening. Check stats, check trends, matchups before making your picks, and it makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. And it's an easy app to navigate. It makes playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. And now I look at my Celtics are out of it, and the Lakers are out of it. So I can just sit back and want to see the best team win, which is probably going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. But you take a look at coming up, San Antonio and Minnesota. The spread is Negative 4.5 for San Antonio, plus 4.5 for the Timberwolves. The money, negative 200 for San Antonio, positive 168 for the Timberwolves. Let's see what happens there. The Spurs have won a bunch of titles in my lifetime. The Timberwolves have never won one. It's exciting as it is, but it's going to be even more exciting when you add FanDuel to it all. Head to FanDuel to get started. FanDuel, play your game. I talked about this in the old Sully Baseball podcast. I'm going to bring it up again here. I was taking my dog, Eleanor, for a walk today, and we walked past the Little League field here in Pasadena. And the kids were wearing shirts that said Pasadena Little League. And they had they had hats that's, they look quality hats, but they said, PLL for Pasadena Little League on them. And while it's fun to represent your hometown, I have to say this boggles my mind that Major League Baseball doesn't step in right now for this reason. I experienced this when I was Little League coach for 2 years. And the first year we were there, my kids got, T-shirt uniforms, and they looked like Major League players. They were in the Mets. And it was really cool. They had their Mets uniforms, and they played the A's, they played the Padres, they played the Dodgers, they played the Cardinals, and they were all wearing uniforms that looked like their team. And the next year I came in, and I was saying, well, what team are we going to be? What team are we going to be? And they said, well, they gave us the generic Pasadena Little League shirts and said we have to pick a team, but it can't be a Major League team because we don't have the rights. And my head exploded. It was a scene from Scanners. My head exploded. I saw the Little Leaguers out there wearing the generic uniforms, and my head exploded once again. What are you doing, Major League Baseball? How stupid are you to not provide every Little League in the United States, in Canada, in the Dominican Republic, wherever there's a sanctioned Little League, you are giving them uniforms and hats so they look like Major League players. Are you that stupid that you don't do that? What do you mean you don't have the rights to it? You give it to them. I mean, I honestly sometimes think nobody intelligent is in charge of this league. You want these kids to be dressing up, these boys and girls to be dressing up like Major League players with the uniform, with their hats. So they look in the mirror and say, hey, look at me. I'm a baseball player. And whatever team it might be, if they're wearing a Padres uniform and they're here in Pasadena, some of them may look and say, hey, I look like a Padre. I may follow the Padres. They're not blacked out. Another stupid thing that you do. You create a situation where a young kid gets to feel like they're a major leaguer because they look like one. They don't want to play for Pasadena. They want to play for the Dodgers. They want to play for the Red Sox. They want to play for the Angels. And some of them could make the Angels. But what are you doing? Not providing. How much does that cost to provide them? Yeah, I'm not talking about the highest, just a T-shirt and hat, that and the white uniform pants, so they look like major leaguers. When they go up there, they can, oh, look at me, I look like a baseball player playing in the major leagues, not playing in my little home. Baseball players should be kind of like when I was growing up. They had this feeling when I watched them, where they're almost like watching superheroes. But I didn't get a chance to dress up as Aquaman. I didn't have a chance to dress up as Indiana Jones or Captain Kirk. These kids could be coming to there and said, oh, I'm not as Iron Man. I'm not as Black Panther. I'm not as Wonder Woman. I'm not as Luke Skywalker. I'm not the Mandalorian. Look that one up, Mom. I'm a major league player, and I'm dressed like one. And the fantasy, that's the great fantasy of playing Little League, is I look like a big leaguer. And baseball can do this and hook an entire generation of kids onto wanting to be a ball player and follow the game. And look at me, I look cool in my uniform. And I look like the players on TV. That's the whole point of it. And starting them young, where they want to experience that for the rest of their lives. I love watching the game. I'm dressed up as a baseball player. I feel like a major league player. Daddy, mommy, uncle, aunt, whomever, take me to the ball game. And Major League Baseball and the team seem to be hell-bent in destroying that pipeline of young fans. If you can give me one valid reason why Major League Baseball does not provide uniforms to these kids, put that reason down below. You'll be wrong, because there isn't. This is the way you get kids excited about it, a new generation excited about it. You think that it's just going to be built in? Really? They're watching whatever, they're on their phones doing clickety-clack for things that you don't know and I don't know. You think they're automatically going to be drawn to baseball? My kids weren't. And look at who their crazy father is. You can't take that for granted. You lay down that foundation. Kids, you get your uniforms. You get to feel like a big leaguer. And you get to keep those. You get to go to the ballpark dressed like a major leaguer. Looking cool. And then the ballpark experience, where you have build the memories of watching them, are inexpensive and quality. And the fact that this isn't a priority for MLB is, well, another reason, and I'll say it once, I'll say it again, we need to vote for Sully, baseball commissioner, for a change. I'm not kidding. Thanks so much for tuning in to Locked On MLB. We'll be talking about some more things and celebrating a certain person's birthday coming up. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On MLB so you get all the latest episodes. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called these days, and on Instagram. If you never miss an episode, join the Everydayer Club. It's built for you. Get Locked On MLB ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonmlb.supercast.com to join the club. Check out the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel, and also check out some of the other great shows on the Locked On Podcast Network, including Brett Chansey and the great Mike Stanton, World Series champion, and Back to the Bullpen, which is here on this very feed. If you haven't seen the in memoriam video, check it out. It's down below. And let's do the trivia question. On May 14th, 1972, what member of the New York Mets homered to defeat the San Francisco Giants? On that specific day, May 14, 1972, a member of the Mets got a go-ahead and eventual game-winning home run to sink the San Francisco Giants. Who was that Met who defeated the Giants? Talking about Paul Skenes being an ace that we should all emulate and trying to get kids back into it and wondering why baseball keeps making it hard for themselves. This has been Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.